to the Journey to CEO Success. I'm your co-host, Melissa Saunders, and I'm joined by Patrick Tian, award-winning serial entrepreneur, renowned CEO coach, and best-selling author, recognized by the Wall Street Journal, USA Today, and Amazon. Patrick's latest book, The Journey to CEO Success, is a #1 Amazon bestseller and the inspiration behind this podcast. Patrick, it's great to have you here.
Same thing, Melissa. Great to be here.
And today we're excited to welcome Irina Cruse, founder of OUTLOVE. We love that name, where she helps B2B organizations grow with greater clarity and a stronger customer connection and strategic focus. Irina has built her career across international sales, business development, and marketing, and previously served in senior leadership roles at Apollo Fire Detectors. Her work today is centered on helping businesses deeply understand their markets, identify where they can win, and create purposeful, customer-centric growth strategies. Welcome to the show, Irina.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes, Irina, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming to our show, making time for us. It's so great to have you. So, as we kick off, before we talk about your journey, tell us a little bit about your company. What does OUTLOVE do? It's such a great name. What do you guys do?
Yeah, OUTLOVE is essentially the strategic growth agency. We focus on two types of services. It is the market analysis and the growth strategy. And the two are really closely connected with each other. The whole point of OUTLOVing is deeply understand the market you operate in and the customers you serve and try and build the strategy to serve them and build this deep, authentic connection with the market, and that gives the purposeful growth at the end. But essentially, yes, everything around the depth and building a connection, knowing where to focus to grow and sometimes where not to go and not spend effort and time on investing or leading your organization into. This is what we do.
Okay, and it sounds like, you really help people go deep on how to love their customers. Is that correct?
Yeah, I just think that without the deep understanding of the market environment, and it goes far beyond than just understanding the person you serve, you need to understand the full kind of environment, the full perspective of the market, the competitive landscape, the segments that you serve, perhaps if you're a B2B safety-led organization, the regulatory environment that you are operating in, what is shifting, what is changing, what do people care about. So it's far beyond than just the traditional marketing, persona marketing and messaging. It's a very comprehensive picture of the world and giving you the lens to view the world through and choose where to focus. Because I think focus is one of the key things organizations struggle with, whether or not it is growing your portfolio or placing an investment or focusing your sales team on and investing against that or investing in the product. You really need to know that you're placing the best effort on things that matter. And yes, that's what I personally deeply care about, and that's what our company does.
I love that. I love that you said just now that I can't quote you exactly right, but you said something about what they would focus on, what they would say yes to, but also what they should not do. So strategy, Sometimes people think that strategy is what you're supposed to do. They forget that strategy means you say yes to certain things, but by saying yes to certain things, you actually say no to a bunch of other things. And so, in my book, The Journey to CEO Success, I have 7 practices for CEOs. And my 7th practice is about to really learn deeply about your core customer and to build the right things for your core customer. And I say that too, that means you would say yes to the things you build for the core customer, but no to other things that you might be tempted to do that don't help that core customer. So for me, that's kind of how I focus and love on the customer specific.
Yeah, for sure. I think when you have the understanding of what matters most and where you need to focus to make the biggest difference for your organization and your customer, it becomes much easier process to say no. Nevertheless, I think in a real life, in a real business environment, it's very tempting to take on an opportunity and run with it, and it can lead you astray for sure. But I think the most painful part is directing your team into things that don't actually bring the outcomes that you are looking for. And it can be very straining. It's very effortful for the leader to do, but it's also very straining for the wider team and organization. And the least rewarding part is not seeing the success at the back of it. So I'm all for doing the right thing. Doing the right thing for the people you serve, and as an outcome, doing the right thing for yourself.
Yes. So I love that you say that. Let's talk about your journey now, because you've said a few things already that are just really pearls of wisdom for our audience, doing the right things for your customers. And you said something, or rather I've read some things that you've said about outlove, don't outprice, really clarity beats complexity, and things like that. I'm curious where you learned all this along your journey to get to outlove. Share with us about your journey.
Yeah, I moved to the UK in 2010, and I've worked in a few organizations beforehand, and then I really can say I grew up in Apollo. That was the business I owe a lot to and I love, and I learned a lot from. And it is a big organization, one of the leaders in fire safety. And I think everywhere in the world, wherever you walk in, they will know the word Apollo and they will know who they are. And with the big business comes the challenge of complexity, the challenge of the multiple product ranges, or markets you operate in, and you have to really make choices on where to focus. And I think seeing that complexity led me to believe that simplicity is priceless, really, especially in complex organizations. This is where my beliefs into the simplicity came from, and it also was established as a value by one of our leaders as a company value that I felt personally attached to. And the need for outliving also comes with size, because the bigger you get, the more disconnected you become from your marketplace. When it is a founder-led organization, it's very much led by a person that felt the pain on the ground. When you start growing up, that connectivity with your customer can be lost or diluted. So it's very difficult to keep in touch and to keep intact with your market and make the right choices for your customer and your organization. So I think this is where the passion for focus came from, and for deep market understanding and connection.
So
I just felt that
how do you do what you just said? What you just said is very interesting. As you get bigger, founder who started it feels the pain of the customer deeply. How do you extend that feeling, that connection to other people as a company grows? Like, are there a couple of experiences
very difficult. Very difficult. I think obviously you can be a different organization. You can choose a strategy of operational excellence when you just do things cheaply to win. You can be super innovative organization, and I'm a big supporter of a deep customer relationship, a deep customer focus. So first of all, you need to decide who you are and what you stand for. And once you know that you are customer intimacy focused place, then you need to put yourself behind that and connect deeply with your market, invest in the insight, invest into the market understanding, establish the value of customer intimacy within your team, make them think about the customer, make them think about what they care about, stand in their shoes. That is, I think, the mindset shift and change that doesn't always come immediately, and something that needs to be driven as almost like a cultural value.
So when that mindset shift happens, how do you see it? Like, what do you see that tells you, oh, my people are doing X, Y, and Z, and that tells me that they have the mindset of customer intimacy? What do you actually observe that tells you we're on the right track?
When they start to think how their actions impact the customer, that's the first. I think like the first basic step. Okay, if I do X, then what is going to be the outcome of my action and how it's going to roll into the market? But this is probably the basic starting point. The real thing is about feeling and being able to apply the perspective of the people you serve into your own mindset, how they think, what they feel, what it is they interact with. Once you start seeing that, and you can see it by the questions that people ask, by the perspective that they bring, you can then observe who has got that who's trying to get there and who doesn't, as well as the teamwork, of course. If somebody is bringing this piece of information and everybody gets behind it because it is an important piece of for the market and for the customer, an organization gets behind it to deliver, not just your front end team, then you can observe the change coming in. Very, very difficult to do, I think, in practice. So hats off to all the leaders who are trying to get it done.
So this is the work you do today, right? This is the work you do where you specifically like to help companies that have that mindset, correct?
I guess my work is more about bringing the market perspective into the fold of organization.
Yes.
Whether or not you are making decisions on investing money, on growing your portfolio, entering into the certain market. My job is to bring the intelligence and the direction and the focus, recommendations around where to focus to grow. So the internal structuring and implementation of that is left up to the leadership team. So my part is about bringing the perspective into the fold.
But wouldn't you say that, as you said earlier, choosing the right customers or designing the work for the right type of customers is very important. Therefore, I would suggest that even though you leave the implementation to the team, yes, but I would suggest that companies that have a mindset of customer centricity, customer intimacy would enjoy your delivery more than customers that would say to you, look, I don't care about all this stuff. I just want to maximize my profit above all else. I think if I understand you correctly, you would say, look, we shouldn't have to choose, right? If you focus on customer intimacy, it should ultimately also improve your profitability. But so all I'm saying is that your method is going to be more focused on people that want to go that route, right? Just like, look, if I want to lose weight, there's so many different ways to lose weight, right? Some people would say, oh, you want to do intermittent fasting. If you want to do that, go join that program. Some people would say, no, you got to exercise, you got to really work out. And da-da. So the gyms are attracting people that want that lifestyle of working out, etc. Even though there's 5 different ways to lose weight, but your focus here is going to be more attuned to people who care about customer intimacy, who want to outlove specifically, and who will consider using customer centricity as one of the functions of the growth engine, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think on a very basic level, OUTLOVE itself, even in the name, it was designed to filter out people who don't care about doing the right thing and about choosing the markets that is the right fit for their organization that they want to serve. So I think in a very simple way, there's kind of 2 dimensions. If you're looking to buy someone, and adjacent this to your organization, you want to know that this is the right fit for you and you're going after the correct market and there is a lot of synergy and they're going to deliver the outcomes that you're looking for and further enhance your portfolio offering. If you are leading an organization, key piece here is about doing the right thing for the markets that you serve. So yes, bringing that perspective for the leaders who want to make right choices and do the right thing is for sure the piece that we bring to the table.
So doing the right thing is not always easy. What are some challenges that cause people to go, I don't know that I want to do that? What are the couple of typical stumbling blocks that you've helped people get past so that they can choose the right thing?
Yeah, I think there is when you are in it, when you are running a business or you are running a group of companies, it's very difficult to take the breathing time to really properly give space and time and perspective to what it is that you are doing. So in multiple ways, it is about bringing a fresh perspective and a fresh eye to the situation, and also bringing a degree of customer insight into this and market insight into this and connecting it into the comprehensive structure that gives you the map to your treasure hunt, right? You can lay it all out and you can see the lay of land. You know where you are moving and how to reach the top of the mountain, This is the piece that I try to bring with the work that we do at OUTLOVE.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a couple of examples. Maybe you could give me an example where in your work people have had to choose, and sometimes these choices are difficult, right? It feels like I got to choose A or B, when actually they slow down a little bit. You don't have to choose A or B. Stephen Covey calls that the fool's choice when you're given two choices, that you sacrifice A but when you choose B, or you sacrifice B when you choose A. And when I'm faced with that, I often think, look, if you slow down just a little bit, maybe you can take the best of A and B and create C or D or E, like other options beyond just these two choices. I would suggest that that's part of how you get people to outlove, right? You get people to choose. Look, we don't have to compromise, because I think being customer intimate is difficult. I think a lot of times people think I got to spend money on the customer. So to me, that's one block, one mental block that thinks that, well, customer intimacy is expensive. And if I do this for the customer, what's my return? I think you got to think a little bit longer term, and your returns are longer term. So in other words, instead of thinking about a transaction price, you think of the lifelong value of a customer, for example, which may cause you to then slow down and create more options, more solutions. That's kind of my thoughts. But
Yeah,
what are
for
your
sure.
thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. Having the full view, the bird's eye view of what's going on just gives you that ability to take a breather and
Yeah.
elevate out of your operational life or your management duties and et cetera, et cetera. And I like to really take a minute to feel, to think and embrace what could be the options here and whether or not those options are good for me and good for my organization. So that's what the work is designed to do, is to give that space, to create that space to digest and to reflect, and then proceed with, confidence into whatever it is that you are deciding to do, whether or not it is a no-go or a go or a route that you now can confidently build based on that map and layout of the view of the market.
Yeah. It appears to me that you are also a very empathetic, feeling person. You've used that word more than once, actually multiple times in our feel. You got to feel the customer, and you come back to the word feel it. I'm curious about one thing. I believe that your journey has given you a lot of joy, and I believe that that's probably because you may have connected your work to what you enjoy, your passion. How have you done that? And how have you been able to achieve both success and joy in your journey?
Yes, that's true. There was a lot of enjoyable moments across my lifetime, especially in work. I used to have a lot of fun in sales and marketing and both. And I think quite often you get the feeling. I remember we had an HR training about the gut and the mind and about taking the decisions with both. And
Yes.
then at the back of this topic, I did a lot of my own research about the thinking and feeling side and about how we humans operate to know what is the right thing to do. And that we take decisions with more than one sensory point. It's not just what you logically consider being true, but also other sensory inputs and sensations. And actually use it a lot in my work, the intuition that you build up from almost subconscious, unconscious inputs.
Yes.
So yes, I do feel strongly that that part of me is for sure developed very well. And most of the fun that has been had is about knowing, believing, and feeling something was the right thing to do and then getting behind it. And once you're behind it and your energy is behind it, you can bring your teammates on the journey as well, whether or not you are a leader in a conventional sense of the world when you have a team with the direct reports, or you have a team of people that you lead to deliver something. And if you all believe in it being the right thing and feel it is the right thing and you see the outcome coming, then the whole kind of creation and execution of it becomes fun.
Yes.
And I used to really enjoy that. There was quite a few experiences with this sensation. Yeah.
Can you share one of your experiences? Can you share one of your
Yeah, for
experience?
sure.
Yeah, where you Here's this.
There was 3 really episodes that stand out for me. One of them was in a kind of sales environment, another one in marketing, and the third one is more of the leadership piece. So I'm just thinking which one is best. I'll give a little bit about each, the icing on the cake from each one. On the sales side, there was a story behind the account development, one of the key accounts that we had as an organization, and we grew it by quite a significant share. We knew what were the right things to do. We knew the problems on the account. And I think the key thing was about, for a salesperson, to bring it back home, but also to rally the troops to support you to get this done. And so we all worked as a team, from the kind of shop floor engineering environment where we worked on improving the quality and automating the process specifically to serve that customer, to the technical product management that stepped in to help with the product roadmap, with the finding of the solution, etc., to the development of a sales strategy. And all of this together kind of came into one piece. And it was a very enjoyable journey because you weren't at it alone. First of all, you knew what to do, because you could just see through what needs to be done. And second, you had that support network around you to help you get to where you needed to get to. And it was a similar kind of example. And I think there is a lot of consistency between them all, is about somebody getting inspired to do something and a wider team getting behind that purpose almost, to support the movement. And you can see great things happening from it. In the marketing environment, we did the segmentation work, which is my favorite piece of work. We did it as a team, as a pretty much whole organization. One of the greatest experiences of my life, being able to, not just segment and understand where to focus, but also have that whole organizational alignment behind it, and so many people involved into the process to get this done. But what was good about it is about engaging so many brains to work in the same direction and coming up with the solution, and then coming to implementing it again together with the pieces of your team. We had a very strong communications and manager and the piece of the marketing team that was executing the kind of front-facing segment entry strategy. And what was amazing is about saying, hey guys, we want to go here, and this is what we are looking at. Could you please develop the approach to do this? And people just got behind it, and they executed. And yes, we had a few, let's say, difficult situations, but overall, it's about people believing in the final destination and igniting from that, knowing that this is the right thing to do, and getting behind it and co-working with you to get it done. Yeah, those are amazing experiences. I really hope that all leaders experience them at some point in their career. I was very lucky.
And you have definitely hit on what gives you passion, because as you describe those experiences, you are lighting up. I mean, you're smiling, a good time.
It was fun.
So I'm learning from you today how important, I'm reminded from you today, actually, how important it is to really love your work. When you said customer segmentation, that's my favorite part, right? It's like I can tell you love that work. And it's just, I'm talking to you, I'm like, man, if I have a customer segmentation project, I would want you to do it for me, because I would love to have someone that really loves that work. Someone who really loves that work will go the second mile, will go the third mile, would check on things that I would never even think of, because that person is so excited about that particular line of work. So I think it's so critical to find the kind of work that gives you a lot of joy. I have two daughters, 26 years old, 23 years old. I always tell them, look, if you can figure out how to get a job where you love, and when work is no longer work, when work is just fun, man, that's the best time of your life.
Yeah.
I still remember my first company. I woke up one day and I said to my team, I said, I can't believe people pay us to do this. Like, we would do it for free, but don't tell anybody that, right? So that's the feeling. I would do this for free, but I'm getting paid well to do this. And the surprising thing is, the more you love it, the better you are at it, because the more research you do, the more experimentation you do, the more innovation you have. And frankly, the more valuable your work gets. So when people say, hey, stop having fun, it's time to work. I'm like, no, work is supposed to be fun. And the more fun you can make your work, the better you're going to be at it.
Yeah, I think finding that can be challenging because you can get lost sometimes. You get in doing different things and you might be going in the wrong direction and you might be becoming too logical, which was a
Yes.
situation with me. So all the decisions made in your head, you're not listening to what you actually want and what feels right. That's
Yeah.
probably a right way to put it. What feels right, not just what thinks right, but also what feels
Yeah.
right, and connecting those two things together. I think if you are lost and if you are dissatisfied, taking that space to understand what gives you energy and what drains your energy, what makes you light up and what sets your world on fire and what you really, really love and enjoy versus what is not really your cup of tea, but you can do.
Yes.
And I think there is a lot of like literature around the zone of genius versus the zone of excellence versus competency versus incompetency. So I think it's not just a good book. It's actually what I would recommend people to do is to, really be honest with themselves on what drives them. And the question shouldn't be asked this way, really. It's more about my energy is raising when I do this. Or I'm going to talk to Patrick and I'm going to say, Patrick, when we were in the same room together, what have you observed about me? What am I best at? And like trying to understand that side of you, which you can in the grown-up life, what I call it, the grown-up life, with a
Yes.
lot of things to do and with the kids, with work, with, other engagements. It's
Yeah.
very easy to forget who you are and what you like and what brings you alive. And I
Yes.
think going back to that and really sitting down, maybe reflecting, doing reflective practice to understand what really lights you up and
Yeah.
what feels good, what feels right on the inside, and then designing your activity around it
Yeah.
and your life around it is something that I found very helpful in finding more joy in my life.
Gotcha.
So
Thank
I
you.
hope others can do it too.
Yeah. So I can talk to you all day, but like
Like
we're coming to the end of our podcast time here. And my last question I ask all our guests, is this podcast is to help CEOs to figure out how to have a more joyful and successful life. What last piece of advice would you like to leave with our audience to help them have a more joyful and successful life?
Yeah, I think listen to yourself and do what feels good. That's it. Very simple, but
Yes.
very difficult to get to.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Well, you have lived your brand promise here. You said you like to take
Definitely.
things which are complicated and bring it to its simplicity. So thank you very much, Irina. Hey, Melissa, back
Thank
to you.
you. Thank you. Lovely to meet you. Goodbye.
Irina, thanks. Yeah, thank you for joining us today, for sharing your journey and your customer first insights. And thanks to all of you for listening to the Journey to CEO Success today. If you enjoyed this episode, and we sure hope you did, be sure to subscribe and join us next time for another conversation with a CEO about what it really takes to grow a business, lead well, and be joyful. Until next time, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.